Avenue, and I'm the CEO of Flint Avenue. Flint Avenue is a content development, design, and deployment or delivery company. And so I want to tell you first just a little bit about what that means, like practically. So what we do, we develop content with things like marketing writing, technical writing, training development. We also participate in consulting, gap analysis, editing, scripting, and storyboarding. So that's all the development of content. Then we take that content that's developed and we help put it into layouts. So that would be the design portion. Sometimes that design is through creative services like graphic design or 3D animation. Sometimes it's instructional design to develop training materials. Sometimes that's through app development, gaming, or audiovisual. Then the final piece is once you've written your message and you've designed your message, you need some way to get that message out to your audience, right? So that's the delivery portion. Delivery could be anything from print production. We wrote a brochure, we did a brochure and layout, now we need to print this brochure so you can hand it to your customers. Sometimes that's online or through social media, sometimes it's cloud deployment, or BYOD, which, does anybody know what BYOD is? Couple of you do, bring your own device. That's a new one with a lot of companies. The classroom facilitation, or if you need it in a different language or localized for a specific region around the world, we can help you with that delivery as well. So that's who we are and what we do. But I think it might help a little bit if I define kind of what our structure is and how we provide so many different types of services with a little bitty company based out of Lubbock, Texas, right? So I'm Amy Wood, that's founder CEO, and then Kevin Vaughn's our sales manager. He's an actual employee. He's also a firefighter, and so he's on duty today, so you don't get to meet him, but at some point I'm sure you might. Then we have a creative services team. The way we structured Flint Avenue is with 1099 contractors. And so these are freelancers that I have met throughout multiple years of working in a similar industry in Houston. And so I have graphic designers, 3D animators, app developers. I have a technical support team full of writers, editors, desktop publishers, production coordinators, project managers. We have consultants both for business strategy, for sales and marketing growth, and then employee development. And then I have some third-party vetted vendors. So whenever I'm ready to do a lot of the delivery solutions, like for example, printing. I don't have a printing press in my house, but I do know really good printers that do a great job and that I've used for other projects. And so I'll use a third party for printing, translation, and localization. So, how it came to be. I think it might help also to kind of understand where and why Flint Avenue was what I wanted to do. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. Basically, I'm a Lubbock girl, born and raised in Lubbock. I grew up in the Tech Terrace area. My first job was working on 26th in Boston at the Farmers Country Market, it's now Lowe's, and I was a stacker. I stacked groceries. That is a lot of Lubbock kids' first job. It's like United is the elite. I got Farmers Country Market as a kid. So as I learned to stack groceries, I learned that there's a process for that, right? You've got certain heavy things on the bottom, light things go on the top. You don't want the bread to get squished because customers come back and complain, but there's a process for that. So my brain automatically just identifies these processes and gaps in processes. So whenever I was a stacker at Farmers Country Market, I documented the process for stacking groceries, because that's how my brain works. My managers loved that, they thought it was great. We implemented that process and it became part of our new car training program, which I also wrote at 16 years old to train all the stackers at Farmers Country Markets. That basic example is pretty much mapped in every career move I've ever made. Every job I've ever taken, I went in, identified process gaps along the way, and then we developed training materials and things like that that would support those training gaps to fix just general business problems. Then fast forward a few years, I decide I'm out of Lubbock, I'm too big for this town, I gotta go to the big city, take me to Houston. So in my mid-20s, I moved to Houston, and I got lucky enough to join a company that was a consulting firm for multiple industries, technology, fashion, healthcare, and then of course energy, oil, and gas, because it's Houston and that's the energy corridor, right? So through that opportunity, I worked there for about 10 years and had the opportunity to sit at boardroom tables with people that I would have never even been close to have conversations with. Like, I learned branding from Louis Vuitton. I learned business strategy from Halliburton. I learned, more branding, more marketing from Coca-Cola, Levi's. I wrote a worldwide training program for DuPont that reduced safety incidents and changed the way they do business. So I had all these crazy opportunities, and in Houston, that competition is pretty fierce. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's doing some sort of content challenge development. But what I found was when I moved back to Lubbock, because this is where my family is, and there wasn't really anybody doing that here. There wasn't really anybody bringing those stories from the Fortune 500 companies down to the small businesses and helping them develop really smart strategies to implement within the company. Another thing I noticed is that all the way from Farmers Country Market, from 16 years old to, sitting at Halliburton's boardroom table, is that there's one problem that's consistent across all of those companies, and that is that they all need good content development. They all need strong words written in dynamic ways that are engaging to customers. And they need better ways to deliver that content. So when I moved back to Lubbock, my goal became to be the next generation avenue for content development, design, and delivery worldwide. So here's how I structured Flint Avenue. Our culture is typically business to business. That's what I'm most comfortable with. I have helped a few individuals just like they want to be a personal coach or something like that. So we've done a little bit of personal branding, but typically we do business to business. We have a very flexible business model. For clients, we're flexible in that we're turnkey project support. Like, if you come to me and say, I don't even know where to start, we can brainstorm ideas, we can get it together, we can, bring this whole project to fruition and deliver it to your clients. Or if you just need to come in for a piece, maybe you already have a strategy, you just need some help wording something, or you want it edited, want somebody to take a look at your design. We can help with just plug and play support too. Another thing that's neat and a good benefit for our clients is that we're fully scalable. I'm not restricted to 1 or 2 or 5 employees with a budget. Your budget and your project budget determines how many employees we can add on. So I'm fully scalable to any size. And we're flexible because we're located everywhere around the world. So there's no location or regional restriction. For team members, we're a flexible business model because we have a remote workforce. People work from home offices, and they can work, at their time when they're most creative, when they're most engaged. And then I also provide opportunities for referral bonuses and commissions and things like that. So they can make money more than just by being a graphic designer. I said a little bit about having a virtual office. Some benefits to setting up your company with a virtual office space is, again, you have full scalability, right? So you're not limited by how many cubicles you can fit into a square footage. You have unlimited amount of offices. You have reduced overhead in that fashion as well. And you have really happy employees because they can do their graphic design in their pajamas, right? So good chill. We have a follow and son business model. I have employees that work all across the United States in an office in India that also has similar skill sets with writers, editors, graphic designers, and even a few software developers. And so they're fully scalable as well. It's a really dynamic company that people are constantly trying to be a part of. So that's basically how we've set up Flint Avenue, and that's it. That's me.
Thank you. I think your concept is really cool. I actually utilize virtual assistants in the Philippines and in India as well. And My one question or challenge to you is when you say you're scalable based on their needs. I know this could just be my experience, but it's hard to find really consistent, good helpers that are overseas that do exactly what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Just finding a few of them for me. So how do you go about doing that? That makes you feel confident in their abilities.
Yeah, I am lucky enough to have a really good couple of friends that live in Bangalore, India, and I have a really good friend who lives in Taiwan. And so these guys, I've worked with them for over 10 years, and they know what I expect from quality. And so I actually taught a lot of them. I wrote a training school for technical writing. I wrote the curriculum for their school, so I know what they're being taught. But it is hard to drive quality, especially when you're outsourcing something creative. Like if you want them, like, give me some concepts, and that's not where we would take it. We would do that, US most likely.
Sure.
Hi. I was going to ask you about, it's something that Anthony Preston said. I don't know if you guys saw his presentation. He was asked when he did his presentation, because they said they were going to hire 60 software developers in Lubbock, Texas. And he's not here today, but one of the professors that come pretty regularly asking, why don't you offshore a bunch of that? And Anthony said something which we found also, because we've attempted to offshore things in the past. He said, well, the prices are really flattening across the world. And so, for example, it might cost, 10 years ago, you could get an app developer overseas for $15 an hour. Okay, well, and that would be a quality one, or a firm that would do it and have multiple people working on it. We found in our recent attempts to investigate that those prices are closer in some cases to $40 an hour now.
Yeah.
And so have you felt, has it been challenging for you from a price standpoint to continue to utilize offshore resources when you don't have the face-to-face interactions with them?
Yeah, I haven't had that problem at all. The company that I'm working with, they're also a startup company, and so they worked as an extension of the consulting firm that I worked for in Houston for a decade. And so they had a U.S. owner at that time, and now they've branched off and they're doing their thing. So they had a lot of U.S. influence, but no, their prices are still extremely low. But maybe, I haven't priced it around India, so it could be.
Right. Well, we've just found in our experience it's at least an even playing field. We might as well hire a developer in Lubbock, Texas, if we can find the talent, and then have the ability to just be right there with the folks. And
that's what I'm finding in Lubbock anyhow, is that there's a lot of local pride, and a lot of people want to keep their business right here, which is great. When I'm working with a client like Weatherford International, they are producing, thousands of documents in a month, marketing documents that have to be updated consistently. And that volume of work, when it's coming through, they need those documents. Where I could do it in the US, I could turn that document one page, like marketing flyer, for example. I could turn that page in the US for $300 a pop, where I could send it to India and get it for like $35 a pop. So when you're doing thousands and that kind of scale, they kick it over. But any small business, if we're doing something here, it makes sense to just keep it local, because we can have conversations about it, sit at the same table and all those things. Sure.
My question is, as a marketing media content, or would you say marketing?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you market yourself? How do you find your own clients and work through your sales process?
Yeah, right now it's a lot of networking. I am a firm believer in identifying who my ideal client is, and I give her a name, I give her an outfit, I tell her, I know everything about this girl. She's a marketing manager and she works for a Fortune 50 company, And what are the things that I want to say that I know she's going to listen to? And so that's my marketing, from my marketing side. Technical documentation, then I have a different ideal customer, and I craft my message to them. I use a lot of social media, LinkedIn, blogging from the website, things like that. But most of it's just conversations, who you meet, and, LinkedIn is huge, just keeping in contact with everybody you ever meet and follow up with them.
Is customer retention pretty high once you bring in a client?
Yes, definitely. If I can get one project with a client, typically I'll get 2 or 3 because it's just so easy to do business with someone small because we're nimble and able to adjust to whatever we need. So, yeah, if I get one project, I'm probably going to get more.
Amy, as you scale up, would you see any type of transition to more full-time staff as opposed to contracts?
Absolutely, yeah, that's the goal. The goal would be, the first goal is to have a full-time salaried graphic designer, editor, writer, just those core competencies, and then, yeah, just scale it as needed.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? Okay, well, let's thank Amy for being here. Oh, you got one more? Oh, our last question. Whoa, we can't forget the last question.
Well, this is the last question, right? What have been some of the biggest challenges you have faced, either in the move or in finding customers or just in your entrepreneurial journey so far with this business?
Yeah, well, I'm still very brand new. I've only really been actively selling Flint Avenue for less than a year. And so, just keeping your head motivated, that's always like in the beginning. It's not consistent, projects aren't consistently coming in. And so, I'd like to grow the consistency and that would be a lot more motivating.
Okay, and the last question is always, what can the local community do for you?
Yeah, just being able to network with you, I think is really important, and I appreciate that opportunity. And share with me about, what's the Lubbock network like? I'm kind of new back here in the business world, and so I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of networking in Lubbock, Texas. So, share your insight with me.